Chris, we're live in the other room. And because it's Friday, because it's 7 a.m., he joins us.
Yes.
In a state that has been hit incredibly hard. Our thoughts are out there. And as Dave mentioned to us last week, he was fortunate enough to be underneath geographically everything that's going on. But I'm just going to take a guess. He knows quite a few people going through it right now. So as we've been mentioning this week, our thoughts are out there for sure. But we are, fantasy football rolls on, and CBS Sports does as well. TV Zone, Dave Richard. Good morning, Dave.
David, Jason, how are you?
Hey, we're good. How are you?
Well, I'm good, man. Listen, you're right. So South Florida, where I live, near Fort Lauderdale, there was a lot of wind and a lot of rain, but we were spared compared to a lot of other people in the state. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen the devastation from Siesta Key all the way through to Tampa and then across the state from there. Got a lot of memories from that area of Sarasota. Grandparents live there, so I absolutely hate seeing what's happening.
Yeah, and we saw the one. Yeah, go ahead.
So what I was going to say is, with that in mind, David, I'm leaving it on you. You need to figure out a way to solve the hurricane problem.
Well, I can tell you this much: my college football team hasn't, and I don't see that happening this. Oh,
not yet. You haven't.
Yeah, not yet. Well, Well, then again, actually, you know what? You know how this rivalry goes. This would be the year that we win. Yeah, exactly. We were saying before you came on. This is how you get questions into Dave Richard. On our text line, this person sent this text in over 10 hours ago. Said, longtime daily listener, watcher, first-time texter, question for Dave Richard, Jaden Daniels versus Baltimore, Caleb Williams versus Jacksonville. Ooh. So I'm leading off with that because I appreciate the hustle right there.
I appreciate that hustle too. And let's reward it with the same type of benefit that you've gotten from Jaden Daniels this year. I think it's really hard to get away from JD, knowing what his upside is and knowing what we've seen from him. But this is definitely a step up in class in terms of competition for Daniels. And I am a little bit nervous about what he'll be able to pull off against a Ravens front that will come after him, will blitz him like crazy, and then we'll try and just hold on in the secondary. And I just don't know. This isn't like taking on the Cardinals, right, who he took on and he beat up a couple weeks ago. And the Browns, maybe that gives me a little bit of optimism, the fact that he was able to put up some nice numbers against Cleveland. But this defense will be feisty. Maybe not necessarily a good defense because we saw Burrow rip him up, but Burrow, a better, more experienced passer. All that being said, it's the upside of Jaden Daniels. That's what you usually lean toward when you're making lineup decisions in fantasies. Who has the most upside? Caleb has a good matchup. There's no question. Jaden Daniels is the one that has more upside.
Dave, at this point, 5 weeks in, has he been one of the bigger fantasy surprises on your list so far?
Yeah, no question about it that he has. And we're talking about a player in Daniels who was drafted round 8+. And now we're viewing him like this week. He's 5th for me among quarterbacks in my rankings. But last week he was 3rd. The week before he was 3rd. Like, he's up there. He's a surprise. To a lesser extent, Baker Mayfield is a surprise, but he's been playing well. One of the pieces of advice that we actually gave people is if let's just say you're 2-3 and 1-4 and you've got a stud quarterback, maybe it's Jaden Daniels. You could trade Daniels and get crazy good value for him and then acquire Baker Mayfield on the cheap. And you're really not losing that much. I mean, you're losing a little bit, obviously, but not that much, dropping down from Jaden Daniels to Baker Mayfield and using Baker Mayfield as a hopeful starter for the rest of the season. But those guys have definitely been surprises. Jordan Mason has been a surprise. Fingers crossed that he's healthy. Chuba Hubbard was a name that we were giving fantasy managers before the season. He's been great. And Tucker Kraft at tight end seems to be he and Brock Bowers are the two guys at tight end that went from maybe we'll just draft him. And I don't know if anybody was really drafting Kraft, but they've turned out to be top 5 fantasy tight ends. And I think people are happy to start them and they don't even think twice about it.
Dave, I know a lot of people are going through this, myself included, in one of my leagues. I really am having issues with my second running back. I'm sitting on Alvin Kamara, who's questionable, and if he doesn't play, I'm just flat screwed. But I did pick up Kareem Hunt, which was great last week, and really excited, but he's got a bye. So my other sort of crappy running back, although I was looking because of the injury issue. I was thinking, Ty Chandler maybe there's something there. He's on a bye. I'm currently starting Alvin Kamara and Miles Sanders, who is backing up Chuba Hubbard. I know. But, I mean, this is that league where they're like half the league are retired people, and they do nothing but chase the waiver wire. So is there or are there in that you're seeing pop up some emergency running backs that folks like me might plug in because of the bye?
That I would start over Miles Sanders?
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, the list I'm going to give you, this is not a sexy list, Dave.
Neither is Miles Sanders.
This is B. Arthur in lingerie.
Miles Sanders is my mom in lingerie right now, so anything's going to beat this one. I'm just – that's exactly right.
What have I done?
Your reaction's perfect.
All right, Daria Gumbawale would be on the list. I'd like him less if Joe Mixon plays for Houston, but great matchup, and the Patriots run defense. We just got done talking about this on the podcast. 80 rushing yards to 7 running backs through the first 5 weeks of the season.
Wow.
So they're brutal there. Maybe you can get your hands on Alexander Madison. Maybe you can get your hands on Justice Hill. Oh, here's Tyler Goodson. I'm going to give you 2 Tylers. Tyler Goodson for the Colts. That's if Jonathan Taylor's out. He could be the passing downs running back, and he might be the faster running back anyway. He is the faster running back compared to Trey Sermon in that backfield in Indy. And Tyler Algier, probably rostered in too many leagues for him to make the better than B. Arthur list. But he's got the matchup at Carolina, and he's actually been functioning better in the Falcons' run game than Bijan Robinson. And without getting too inside football on it, he's actually kind of looked better running a certain type of scheme that they have. So those are the names that I would lean toward or look for in place of Miles Sanders.
The guy you gave me as I'm on my waiver wire right as we speak. It was before Algier. So I picked up Ogunbowale, and you said
Ogunbowale?
Yeah, so he was available. So would you take him or Goodson?
I'd take Ogunbowale for now, and then if Joe Mixon is active, I think I'll probably stick with Ogunbowale just because of how easy that matchup is. Is it PPR, Dave?
It is not PPR. I hate this league.
That does hurt a little bit more.
Exactly.
I think I'll keep Ogunbowale, but have Goodson on speed dial.
Okay.
And I might make a swap based on how I'm feeling about it on Sunday, probably.
I guess I could pick up Goodson and drop one of my backups like Greg Dortch or Gabe Davis, who's questionable. Cooks is on the IR.
Yeah, I don't even know why Gabe Davis is still on your team.
Because I have
because he likes B. Arthur. He likes B. Arthur in lingerie.
You are making it clear that there is talent on your waiver wire to some degree.
To some degree, there's
like even the old retired guys are not going to pick up Gabe Davis.
Jason saved you.
Dave is punting. Dave, how about, look, there was a significant change in New York with the Jets, obviously, when you change head coach, but also play caller. Todd Downing will go in there as the play caller now. What kind of fantasy impact for Breece Hall, Rodgers, Wilson, kind of the whole Jets offense will that be?
I don't think the guy calling plays can make the offensive line block better. Mm. So to me, it's a move that might not even move the needle at all. And Todd Downing's had his chances to be a good play caller, and he's never really been that. That's why he was a quarterback coach and not an offensive coordinator coming into the year. Plus, everything kind of runs through Rodgers anyway, and Rodgers can change plays at the line of scrimmage, and he's probably the best guy to call the plays for the Jets, to be honest with you. So that's what's going to happen, and it's unfortunately going to be more of the same until that offensive line starts to block better. Now, the Bills' run defense has been not great over the past few weeks. I wonder if this is a week where the Jets can kind of get right. And you know how it is when there's a interim head coach, there's a little honeymoon period where the team steps up for a game or two. And so maybe the Jets can run away with a win here against Buffalo this week. And maybe Breece Hall's part of that running away with the win. That's what you're hoping for.
You can start 3 here, I'm being told. Okay. Wow, this guy's got a lot of running backs. Jonathan Taylor, Jerome Ford, Zach Moss, Travis Etienne, and Josh Jacobs. You got to start 3.
Yeah, so Etienne and Jacobs are musts.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think Jonathan Taylor's going to play. If he does play, then obviously you're going to start Jonathan Taylor. And then if Zach Moss plays, you'll start him over Jerome Ford, but Moss is potentially questionable as well. If there's no Taylor and no Moss, then Ford is your fallback option. But Ford is someone who's really fading fast.
A couple of more listener questions here for you. Brian Robinson or Rico Dowdle?
Robinson for now, but it sounds like he's going to be a game time decision for the matchup against Baltimore, and it's a tough matchup.
Scary Terry or Mike Evans? Ooh, it's a great choice.
It's a real close call between those two, but I'm going to lean in the direction of McLaurin because of those downfield plays that he makes, and normally it would be Evans easily. You said Evans, right?
Yeah, Mike Evans. Yep.
Okay. His last 9 games against the Saints, when the Saints have had Marshawn Lattimore playing, 13 or fewer points, and that's in full PPR. So every catch is worth a point. He has been grounded against the Saints, and that's who he plays this week in New Orleans.
Can I just real quick? This is why we have Dave Richard on, because I saw I almost didn't ask the question because sometimes we'll get really
it's Mike Evans.
Of course, it's Mike Evans against the Saints rather than you've got awesome rookie quarterback, but rookie quarterback going against by far the best defense he's faced all year. Of course, it's Mike Evans. It's not McLaurin. But then that little nugget that only Dave Richards going to know with Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans. That's how you win leagues, Dave. Well, I'm sending you a crumble cookie. It's got frosting and everything. That is our crumble cookie fact of the week, Dave Richard. That's we just made up a sponsor, but we well done, friend.
My daughter loves crumble cookies. She'll be happy to have it.
They do celebrity birthdays for us.
Yeah.
I'm moving them into Dave Richard's fact of the week now.
We like that. Yeah. Dave, how about the absence now for at least 4 weeks for Nico Collins, who's off to a good start, but Diggs has been great. Tank Dell, who else will benefit, I guess, or be hurt, I guess, by the loss of Nico Collins?
Well, the first guy who's going to be hurt by the loss of Nico Collins is C.J. Stroud. And it's really kind of a bad situation for Stroud because he loses his number 1 wide receiver, and Joe Mixon's going to end up potentially playing. And if that's what comes out and ends up happening, then Stroud might not have to throw that much anyway against the Patriots. But Stephon Diggs will be the big winner. He'll be the one who's going to be a top 12 receiver, certainly in PPR leagues. Tank Dell is going to be a boomer bust receiver, someone that you'll use as a bye week replacement. In deep leagues, maybe this qualifies for your league, Dave, but Xavier Hutchinson's going to play and be that third receiver for Houston. I don't know if I feel good starting him, but there might be some games within those next 4 for Houston where he might actually get 5 catches and be relatively decent as a bye week replacement. So you can keep that name in your back pocket if you want to. But for me this week, if Mixon plays, very much worried about Stroud having huge numbers, but he can have an okay game. He's not a top 12 quarterback as we stand here right now.
Last thing for you. And these are some of my favorite questions to ask you, Dave. You are either, I'll ask you for both perspectives. You're either a Davante Adams owner or Davante Adams is in your league. We don't know where he's going. I heard on the Up and Adams show yesterday, they were saying the secret team involved in everything is the Bills. Who knows?
I've heard the same.
Okay. So let me start with, if you have Davante Adams, are you more inclined to hold on to him, or do you want, it's really almost like a gambling situation, or do you want to see if somebody's going to overpay for him?
If someone's willing to overpay for any of my players,
sure,
I'm happy to make a trade, but it's a matter. Here's the problem. I don't hear about enough fantasy managers being willing to overpay for Davante Adams, thinking that he could be Josh Allen's number 1 target. I haven't heard a lot of that.
Okay.
People are willing to buy low on Davante, but they don't want to overpay.
So switch sides then. If you're hearing the same, and the rumor is that he could be Josh Allen's guy and line up next to Keelan Coleman, and we're off to the races, and the Bills need something. They've lost a couple in a row. Are you inquiring and seeing if you can't, low ball, or how high ball, I guess I would say, are you going for Davante Adams? But are you trying?
I'm definitely trying to, even though there might be a couple of weeks where I won't be able to use Davante Adams because I don't think he's going to wear a Raiders jersey again.
Right.
And then if he goes to a team like Buffalo, their bye week is down the line. Same thing for Pittsburgh. Their bye week is week 9. I've heard that they're into it. The Jets bye week is in week 12. and the Saints bye week is in week 12 as well. Gosh, a lot of teams on bye in week 12. You might want to keep an eye on that. I think that you should try and aim low without question, but let's just say you're loaded. Your team's got a bunch. I've got a team, Dave. Here are my wide receivers. I've got Godwin. I've got Pickens. I've got Garrett Wilson. I've got Christian Watson. I've got there's a Juju I think I got off the waiver wire. Like, I'm pretty well stocked at wide receiver. Oh, and I have Malik Neighbors too.
Wow.
I might try and trade one or two of those guys, and that type of situation I could overpay to get Devontae Adams, who will ride my bench for now, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, gets traded to a team with a quarterback better than Aiden O'Connell and puts up number one fantasy wide receiver numbers.
What do you have, like 4 people in that league?
No, it's with my buddies from college.
Jeez.
So 12 teams, and they let a lot of guys go on the waiver wire that shouldn't be let go on the waiver wire.
That's got to be a blast. Hey, we're in this fantasy league with literally one of the top fantasy analysts in the entire country, but that's neat. That'd be one of those situations, Dave. If I'm in that league, if I'm one of your college buddies and you call me with a trade, I'm just automatically doing the opposite. Nope.
Of course.
Not trading with you. You probably get the old hairy eyeball quite a bit in that league from your buddies.
I don't know what a hairy eyeball is. I don't think I want one of those things.
It's
but
on Urban Dictionary.
It's one. I will go look that up. I am going to tell you that I've already had one trade that was accepted get vetoed.
Oh.
Because others in the league decided to play fantasy analysts and say, no, you're not giving up enough for that guy. And then 3 weeks later, I made a trade offer that got accepted and not vetoed, giving up less. So I'm not sure how people in this league actually think. I think they have me in just so they can say that they can beat me.
Right.
But what can I say? I'm 3-2 and third in most points scored.
Oh. And we'll go here, but you know what? Screw people that veto trades.
Exactly.
We're grown
Let
adults.
it happen.
I want to trade somebody on my team or whatever.
Two people agreed to
bunch
it.
of interference.
I generally agree. What they do in this league, okay, so there's 12 teams in the league. If there are 5 veto votes, then the trade is rejected. So that means that theoretically the two people that make the trade, they're not going to veto.
Right.
So if half the league disagrees, they veto the trade. Now, generally, I'm with you. But if you are going to veto, that's the way to do it.
You're right. Well, I would never veto watching you on TV or reading your stuff. Dave, where can we prepare for this weekend with a nice big dose of Dave Richard?
I'll be on 10 a.m. your time today on CBS Sports Network. That's channel 221 on DirecTV. Going over starts and sits, and we're not going to tell you to start or sit Jamar Chase or anything like that. No lame advice, stuff that'll help you. Fun show with Jamie Eisenberg and Katie Mox. Katie, a sports gambling expert. We will talk player props on that show as well. And of course, we just wrapped up our podcast for the week, Fantasy Football Today. Go to youtube.com, search for Fantasy Football Today. You can you can subscribe, and you can help win your fantasy league with our advice.
It's Dave Richard each and every Friday, letting you go right into the weekend all prepared. David, appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week.
Now I got to find who's got Devontae Adams in this league and see what I can
get him.
Give him offer him up.
I'm going to try and get him.
Give him a hairy eyeball, baby.
Myself into it.
You got it. See you next Friday.
Yes.
You got it.
See you. Bye.
Thank you.
That's Dave Richard. We'll take a break. When we come back, how about a little 3 for Madness?